Hey, welcome to the 2.4 cell recognition and the immune system video part 1. Part 2 has the specification if you want to look at it. Pause it and have a read through if. Okay, so we're going to look at what happens within the body when a pathogen enters, a foreign pathogen enters, and the body then tries to fight off the pathogen as a disease. So the first thing is something called phagocytosis. Now, phagocytosis is non-specific, so the phagocyte cells will engulf any pathogen or anything foreign. So when we say non-specific, we mean that the cells are happy to deal with any pathogen. When we get later on into the specific immune response, that means that they are only going to deal with specific pathogens. So phagocytosis is non-specific. The phagocyte, this is the phagocyte here, recognizes the pathogen as foreign. In this case, it's this bacterium. The pathogen is engulfed into the phagocyte by endocytosis. So you can see here that the pathogen is moving into this kind of area, and what happens is that area will bud off into a vesicle called a phagosome. Now, once your pathogen is within the phagosome, it will fuse with a lysosome inside the cell. Now, lysosomes contain digestive enzymes, and it forms a phagolysosome. So this is your phagolysosome. You can see here that it's got the bacterium and it's got all of the digestive enzymes. The digestive enzymes will then break down the pathogen within the phagolysosome. So you can see here that the bacterium has been broken down, and then those products of breakdown are released from the cell by exocytosis. So engulfed into a phagosome, fuses with a lysosome. The products of the breakdown are removed by exocytosis. Now, following phagocytosis, this phagocyte then becomes what we call an antigen-presenting cell, because it saves the antigens that were on the outside, on the surface of this pathogen. It saves them, and it doesn't get rid of them via exocytosis. And what it then does is it presents the antigens on the surface of its cell. Now, that then makes the rest of the immune system aware that there's some sort of foreign invader. And all of these are part of the cellular immune response. Now, the cellular immune response refers to anything to do with phagocytes and T cells. So you can see here that once the phagocyte becomes an antigen-presenting cell, it causes the T cells to become activated, and they begin to divide by mitosis. So all of this has to occur. Save the antigen, antigens presented, T cells begin to divide. Okay, so our antigen-presenting cell has caused the T cells to divide. They divide into helper T cells and cytotoxic T cells, or T killer cells. Now, the T killer cells help to kill the foreign cells. For A level, that's all you need to know. The helper T cells release specific chemicals which then activate other phagocytes, B cells, and the cytotoxic killer cells as well, the cytotoxic T cells as well. So the B cells, which are then activated by the helper T cells, are memory cells and plasma cells. We'll do plasma cells first. So plasma cells, their job is to produce and release antibodies. Now, antibodies are the goodies, antigens were the baddies. The antigens were the ones that cause the immune response. Antibodies are part of the immune response. Now, antibodies are these Y-shaped proteins here. They're made up of 4 polypeptide chains. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's made up of 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains. So this is a heavy chain because it's bigger, it's heavier, and this here is a light chain. Now you can see as well, circled here, you've got a variable region and you've got a constant region. Now every single antibody will have exactly the same constant region, The variable region will differ depending on the antigen that it's specific to. So this is a specific response. So antibodies are specific to only one antigen. The reason that they're specific is because they have this variable region. And the variable region will be complementary to the shape of the antigen. So plasma cells, type of B cell that produce and release antibodies. A little bit of information about antibodies there. Now, B cells can also be memory cells, and memory cells are really important because they stay in the body for a very long time. And it means that the next time that we encounter the antigen, your immune system can respond far quicker because you've already got the memory cells that can mount the immune response more quickly. So we don't have to go through this whole cascade in order for the immune response to be mounted. It can just begin immediately that the memory cells are activated when they encounter the antigen. Now here is a nice graph that comes up quite often. So you can see that you've got up the side here concentration of antibody and time. So we've got initial exposure to the pathogen here, and you can see that after the initial exposure we have an increase in antibodies, and we call this the primary immune response. Now at this stage here, the person would be sick, they would have symptoms of the disease, whilst their body is mounting the immune response in order to try and fight it. Once it's been fought, the number of antibodies will decrease. We'll still keep some around, but they'll mostly decrease. And then we've got another exposure to the pathogen. Now, when you're exposed to the pathogen again, the memory cells are activated, and what they then do is they mount a really rapid immune response. So you can see here that it's a rapid immune response in comparison to the primary response, and the concentration of antibodies is much higher. And because this is so rapid and the concentration of antibodies is so high, it means that the person will not experience any symptoms of the disease, and the immune system will be able to fight it before you even know that it's there. So we have our primary immune response where you get sick. We have the secondary immune response where you don't get sick thanks to these memory cells mounting a rapid immune response and so many antibodies being able to be made. Now, anything to do with B cells is said to be a humoral response. So therefore, the plasma cells and the memory cells make up the humoral response. And that's the end of the immune system overview.